Hey, beautiful women, namaste, good evening. It's evening here in London, so super welcome. And yeah, it's November the 5th today, which is Skyforks night, so I can hear fireworks going off in the distance. It's dark and it's cold here, and I've been moved to come online to just talk to this subject. How do I bring more rapture into my life? And this is my theme at the moment. It's the question I am asking myself every day, and not just at the beginning of the day, throughout the day. And I'm finding it a really beautiful and powerful practice for living in the moment, for staying very present, for feeling really good in my body and my being, and navigating and making choices that support me in feeling really aligned and authentic and grateful and content. So I want to speak a little bit as to why this is my focus and why I'm really excited and passionate and guided to talk about this and share this with you. So one thing is, of course, and very, very obviously, this is my life's work. I have been teaching embodied awareness and awakening for women for 18 years. And every single practice that I've trained in, every single workshop that I've offered, actually, from the very first Nia technique dance class that I taught in America when I lived there, it's all been about feeling joy in the body, feeling joy in the movement of life, and being your best self. Hi, welcome. And as I've just published my book, Rapture, as I'm teaching to this theme in small and large ways, I want to keep on embodying what I'm teaching to. You know, if I'm not embodying what I'm teaching about, I'm not in integrity, I'm not in alignment. So that's my number one reason for asking myself this question. How do I bring more rapture into my life? The second reason this is really important for me right now is I had COVID and I was really ill, and it took me a good 2 months to recover to relatively normal energy levels. And when I was ill, I was, obviously I had to be very reclusive, and so couldn't do all the things that I normally enjoy doing, which are very much about the body and using physical energy. So as I navigated that, but also then as I've returned to, in inverted commas, normal, it's really imperative for me to cultivate physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being on an ongoing basis. And so this question, how do I bring more rapture in my life, into my life, is it guides me back to those choices in terms of literally what am I putting into, what am I eating, what am I doing with my body each day, what feels good to my body each day. This is all part of my practice of how do I bring more rapture into my life, sleeping well, reading things that stimulate me, watching only things that are high vibration. All of this is part of my choice for sustaining and cultivating well-being, which is really important given what's going on in the world, right? The third reason that I'm really focused on this question and wanting to share about it right now is that the path that I'm on, I'm utterly devoted and committed to awakening, and the awakening I teach and the awakening path that I'm devoted to is about awakening through the body. It is not about spiritual bypassing. It is not about only raising energy up and out and transcending. It is about transcending in the body through the lived experience of the everyday, through the nitty-gritty of my emotions, through the trials and tribulations of being a single parent, being a mum, being a carer for my elderly dad, running a household. It's about the nitty-gritty of life and walking awake, present to all of these realities, not sitting in a cave remotely somewhere. So it's very important to me that this rapture is integrated above and below, masculine and feminine, heaven on earth, through the body, somatic awakening. So this is my path, my dedication. And the fourth reasons, I've got 4 reasons, is that we are in a time of incredibly fast change. And in case you hadn't noticed, the whole world is shifting on its axis. There's all kinds of stuff happening out there right around the world that is challenging humanity on a profound level as to our values, as to our existence, you know, globally, in terms of the environment, in terms of the response to the virus, all of this stuff. It's putting us like right up confronted with the really important questions about life, and it's challenging. It's challenging to our mental well-being, it's challenging to our physical well-being, it's challenging on every level, and there can be a danger of getting sucked into negative thoughts, of getting sucked into division and separation, of becoming despondent, of losing hope. You know, these are real possibilities for us right now. And what I have come to really know very, very clearly, and, you know, I'm a person who has stood up from the start and made it very clear what my perspective and stance on the whole situation is. And I'm not going to back down from that. You know, in fact, I believe that speaking up even more is even more important. However, my primary belief, and again, this is what I want to communicate to you, is that our frequency, our resonance is the most important thing in this whole shift. And I say that again, our frequency and our resonance is the most important thing. So having arguments with people, listing facts and figures, you know, arguing about who's right or wrong, getting really angry or upset. Of course, you know, that's all valid. You know, every emotion is valid, but ultimately, the way we are going to make this shift most effectively globally for humanity as well as for ourselves personally is by holding and elevating ourselves at the highest frequency possible. That is the most important thing, because we all affect one another. So the more I hold myself in that frequency, in that resonance of love, of light, of ecstasy, of divinity, of beauty, of trust, of unity, the more I hold that energy in integrity, the more it affects everyone around me. My presence itself changes people. And I see that directly with my family, with my children, with my clients. You know, it's not so much about what is said, but it's about the energy and the frequency that we embody. You can't think a frequency, you have to embody it, right? And so for all those reasons, I came to the point where I was like, aha, how do I bring more rapture into my life? Because what is rapture? Rapture is the embodiment of divine union. Rapture is the embodiment of the human self and the divine self unified meeting. This is yoga and tantra are fundamentally paths of unification, of non-duality, of aligning the human and the divine self, the personal and the divine self, of unifying masculine and feminine, of unifying heaven and earth. This is what Tantra and yoga is. And rapture is the embodied experience when we are living this unity, right? That is it. And if that seems too remote or highfalutin or or just an idea for you at this point, just call to mind any point in your life when you've had the feeling, because it's about a feeling, it's about energy and frequency, when you've had the feeling in your body, in yourself of, oh my fucking God, this is the most divine, delicious thing I have ever experienced in my whole life, whether that is through making love, through dancing, through painting, through singing, through walking in nature, through meditating, whatever your path to it is. It's that feeling of utter bliss, utter self-fulfillment, utter abundance, utter wholeness, utter, in a way, loss of the self, the small self, in the divine union with life and with all that is, so that you're completely present in the moment, in the still point, right? So the still point is when we are communing with divine in the now. That's what rapture is. That's what Tantra and yoga are all about. So this is why my question is, how do I bring more rapture into my life? And, you know, this word rapture, I love it because it evokes that visceral response for me. I just have to say the word to myself and I begin to feel it, right? Maybe your word is different, but it's the feeling, it's that feeling of bliss, oneness, ecstasy, wholeness, like every cell of your body alive, no part of you deadened or numbed or not present, like all of you here, intimate with life, right? It's that feeling, and I know you've had it. So it doesn't have to be something grand, and this is accessible to everyone. You know, you don't have to be somebody special. This is our true nature for every single soul on this planet. So then the question, how do I bring more rapture into my life? I'm just going to go through a couple of points, and I did make a few notes, and I'm just going to check the time. Okay. All right, let's see if I can get through my points because I've got a call at 6. So first thing is, it's a choice. It's up to you. It's about taking responsibility. Nobody else is responsible for your reality but you. So where do you put your focus? What lens, like literally, what lens are you choosing to put on for life? What do you give your energy to? What do you choose to create with your thoughts, with your energy, with your actions? So I do this right now by asking myself continually throughout the day, how do I bring more rapture into my life? It's a choice. It is a choice. So no more victim consciousness. 2, this doesn't mean it's about faking it or bypassing anything. So in the realm of rapture, everything is welcome. Everything is welcome. Nothing is pushed away. Everything is welcome. There is no such thing as a bad thought or a bad emotion or a bad experience. It's all welcome. The duality is the labeling of good and bad. In the embodiment, in the living of rapture, everything is welcome. Doesn't mean it always feels good, but we can actually be rapturous with a non-good feeling, emotion or situation, believe it or not. This is part of this practice, which is why it's so powerful. 3rd point, it's not about faking it or bypassing. No, because we know where that gets us, karmic retribution. But it is about non-resistance. It's about allowance, acceptance, and presence. To be present, your mind has to be still, has to quieten down. There has to be stillness somewhere in your body and mind for you to be present to what is happening. The Shiva consciousness meeting the Shakti of movement, of aliveness and sensuality. So rapture is all about that inner union of those 2 key fundamental polarities of existence: non-resistance, allowance, acceptance, and presence. 4thly, you don't have to do anything, or you don't have to deliberately like chase a high experience, you know, like, oh, like I have to have more rapture in my life, therefore I have to do this thing that makes me feel rapturous, right? Like I have to do something wild or crazy or intense or impulsive. It's not about that. You don't have to do anything, actually. Once you've understood and felt and experienced it, this experience, this feeling, this knowing is available to you in every moment, right? And it doesn't have to be the chasing of a high. You know, that's compulsive or addictive perhaps, or escaping. It is about a making love with existence in every moment. 5th point, you have to give yourself permission. I've been working with women for 18 years, and one of the big themes that comes up again and again is giving yourself permission. My God, do we live in an anti-ecstatic society? Margot Anand, one of the great grandmothers of Tantra for the West, wrote this book called The Art of Everyday Ecstasy. The Art of Everyday Ecstasy. And in that book, one of the key quotes that has stood out to me from like when I first read it years ago is, we live in an anti-ecstatic society. As children, we are naturally exuberant, joyful, curious, full of wonder, expressing ourselves. And then the world, our parents, religion, society, conditioning, stops all that down and shuts off the flow of life force. Rapture is your life force flowing through you freely, quite simply put. And there are all these conditions for women about having to put the children first and the partner first, and to be, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it. What's the word? Self-abnegating, putting everybody else before you, doing all the chores, making sure the house is tidy, and then there's this to do, and then there's that to do, and I shouldn't be too loud, and I shouldn't be too happy, and I shouldn't be too radiant, and I shouldn't be too, all that blah, blah, blah conditioning. The world needs your light, your energy, your radiance, your love, your joy more than ever right now. More than ever. So you need to give yourself permission to show up and shine. Yesterday I was out walking with a beautiful male friend, and he was just like saying all these really beautiful things about me, and sort of kind of describing me as this woman who's just like shining brightly and just being there out in the world boldly. And I'm like, well, that's just how I am, but my wish would be for every woman to be lit up in her own unique way, not as a kind of copy of me, but to be lit up in the radiance of her true self, and for all of those lights to be shining around the world. Like, how fucking amazing is that going to be? So give yourself permission. Right, we're on point 6 and I've got 7 points, so I'm almost done. You have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to expand. You have to want to go beyond the known, the familiar, and the comfortable, because rapture will take you, it will expand you, it will open you, it will look at this gesture my body's making, my heart's opening, my arms are opening. It will give you more of everything, right? To have this more, to experience this more, you have to let go of what you know. You have to be willing to change, to step out into something new, to shift your patterns and habits, right? So do you want that, or do you just want to stay in what's cozy and comfortable and secure and familiar? Because if you want that, you're not going to experience the full potential of your rapture. So be willing to change, be willing to expand, want it, open to the unknown. Final point is, if everything that I'm saying now feels like, oh, she's got that, but I haven't, or that's just an idea, but it's not a reality, or I'm not feeling that for myself right now. So wherever you are and however you respond to that, right? The final point is, yes, of course, until you've tasted this, it can be hard to imagine. It can be hard to know that it's even a possibility. And, or, of course, in our flow of evolution and growth, we naturally expand and contract. So there's a forgetting and a remembering. There's a forgetting and a remembering. So, we all go through those spirals. Me too, right? But you have to taste it to want more of it. You have to taste it to remember it, right? And sometimes there can be this veiling, this forgetting, and this inertia that comes in that gives you all kinds of reasons why it's not the right time and And yet then the minute you taste it, you're like, oh my God, why didn't I do this before? Why didn't I do this before? It's so simple. Like the other day, I taught a private class, Shakti yoga class, with one of the ladies who won the prize from my Rapture book launch. And, she had a beautiful experience and she was so grateful. And she said, wow, in a way, what we've just done is so simple, but it's just reminded me, so there's this forgetting that happens when we lose touch, when we don't make it a priority. And I know that too, right? We can get into the groove of the everyday and then get pulled down by things. And it's like, you have to taste it and keep tasting it to remember, right? And to want to go more into that, because the inertia of the egoic self and of the matrix way of living can kind of very quickly pull us out of our rapture. And so with all that being said, yes, my Taste of Rapture course is starting next Thursday, the 11th of the 11th. 11 days where I'm going to guide you for an hour a day for 11 days, except weekdays. So it's only only weekdays, not weekends. So we go from the 11th of the 11th to the 25th of the 11th with me guiding you for an hour a day. We're not just going to be doing practice. I'm going to be supporting you with anything that comes up as a resistance, anything that comes up as a block, answering any questions you've got, and guiding you through some beautiful practices, all levels, all ranges, for you to have this experience, to taste it, to remember it, to know this is your true nature, so that this becomes more and more your reality. The world needs your rapture. The world needs your light. The world needs you shining and empowered, beautiful women. So yeah, the course is £111. It's just £10 a day. My God, that's amazing. And you get all the calls will be it'll be on Zoom. All the calls will be recorded, so you get access to the material. 10 o'clock in the morning GMT. It's designed for you working women like me who are working from home and have the capacity to design your schedules around this. So if you've got questions, post them below, and I hope you've enjoyed this. How do I make rapture more of a priority in my life? How do I bring more rapture into my life? Have a beautiful evening. Have a beautiful weekend. Lots of love. Mwah.